Welcome to the Ravens verdict. Court is now in session. There's our imaginary gavel yet again.
Yeah.
Listen, everybody, this is Candy, Seawall Waller, and Darrell Owens checking in to give you all the latest and greatest information on the Baltimore Ravens. We do this show in partnership with the wonderful folks at Fox Sports, Hopewell, Virginia, 1340, 96.9 FM. Listen, you all, it's been a minute because we've been on the move. We have been on the move in training camp. There is never, ever like just a moment to stop. But the Baltimore Ravens are now in the final week of preseason and prep. They're going into another joint practice. This time they will be the host team for the Washington Commanders. So there is a lot to talk about. Darrell, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, and like you said, just busy. I mean, we've been running all, especially this month of August. We've been running around getting prepared for the upcoming season, but trying to get through this preseason, trying to figure out who will make this 53-man roster here in the next couple of days. It's just been a lot of stuff going on, but we got a lot of good information for you all today. We just been trying to get it all together so we can bring it to you.
Yes, indeed. So, Darrell, we have a lot to discuss, like you just mentioned. So, let's go ahead and get into the docket for this episode of the Ravens verdict. So, case number one, the running backs. Do the Ravens have enough depth? Case number two are the tight ends. Matt Hibner and Josh Cuevas. Are they exactly what the Ravens needed? And case number three, who wins the center battle? Ethan Posick or Javon Gwynn? There is so much to discuss, and we may as well hop right on into it with case number one. Darrell, what are your thoughts in your opening statement on the Baltimore Ravens' current running back room?
There's a part of me that feels like they need more. There's a part of me that feels like they need more. We've seen Justice Hill over the last couple of years. He's had some sparks for this Ravens team, and we've seen him do some really good stuff. He's dealt with some injuries here and there, but he's the speed to Derrick Henry's power game, or the lightning to the thunder, whatever way you want to put it. And so for me, I just feel like there is definitely something more needed. And they drafted Adam Randall, who has been, dealing with some injuries and some stuff like that, a little banged up. And then you also have Rashid Ali, who's been there for the last couple of years, but hasn't maybe given the Ravens what maybe what they've needed so far from him. There's a part of me that says they need a little bit more, and I'm still just trying to figure out exactly what that may be. They did bring in Jonathan Ward last week to try to, put a little bit more in the room to see what was going on there. He played a lot in the last preseason game, so we got a chance to see a lot of him. So there's a lot of moving pieces right now, but there's a part of me that says they need a little bit more, Candy.
And so I know there's been a conversation around Derrick Henry, who I know from the practices that I've been able to attend still looks like the King Henry to me. And then of course everyone talks about the Baltimore Ravens owners pick, like you mentioned, Adam Randall, and what he could bring and take it in. But it's like, who's that third running back? What does that room actually, what do they really have? So we could probably get into some of the deliberations now. And if you all have watched Ravens Verdict in the past, or even if you're new, this is the time when we really let's dig into some of the content. Let's dig into some of what we've heard along the way from some of the coaches, some of the players, and just getting into you mentioned Rasheen Ali. We see here Derrick Henry. You mentioned Justice Hill. To your point, it's okay. Derrick Henry, Adam Randall. Who else? Who else will it be? Who else makes it? Right? We know Rasheen Ali and Justice Hill both have sometimes dual roles on special teams. So maybe this is an opportunity to say, hey, maybe a special teams role, get somebody else on the squad. What are your thoughts about that, Darrell?
I mean, there is a lot of potential there. I mean, and trying to figure out how do you feel this, this 53-man roster. How do you go about it? There's a part of me that thinks they keep four running backs because of some of the issues they may have had in the past at the running back position. We've seen like they had Mitchell Keontae Mitchell last year. He was nicked up. Justice Hill was nicked up. So I feel like they may keep four just to have, just to make sure they can be on point when the time comes. But it's really hard to tell where they're going to go with this. Do they keep all five? It's a possibility. I can see on the special teams front. You know that they're in the league now that the running backs tend to be those kick returners nowadays. We've seen a lot of that, in the league since they went to the new format. So there's a chance that all five make the team.
So let's hear from Coach Faulkner. We got to get to, Derrick Henry, because I know that's been even a national conversation of, is he on the is he on the decline? What does this year look like for him? So let's hear Coach Faulkner talk a bit about King Derrick Henry.
Henry, I mean, he's 10th all time on the NFL rushing list. I mean, it seems like every yard he gets, he's making history, going up in history. Do you ever get the sense in dealing with him, whether talking to him or out there, that he ever has this kind of a little bit of his eye on NFL history at all?
I don't think so. Like, I really don't. Like, he comes to work every day. The best thing about that guy is he allows me to coach him. You know what I mean? A lot of guys could be like, yeah, whatever, because he could not take another snap in this league and get a gold jacket. But he's thirsty for that knowledge. He's thirsty to get out there and continue to improve. When I first showed up, I had a couple things. I was like, hey, man, here's what I saw in your game where I see some improvements. I think he appreciated that from the beginning. Where he was like, oh, okay, wow. You know what I mean? We've been working on those things as we've been going through the spring and now in the offseason. So I love how he attacks the everyday. He holds himself to a high standard, and that's awesome.
And this is something that I know we've heard consistently, even amongst his teammates, right? Coach Mentor has mentioned this as well regarding Derrick Henry. And like we said, from what we've seen in practice, it doesn't look like someone who's trying to ride this out for the, just ride out the rest of his NFL career. This is someone who is showing up to work, ready to, continuing to be teachable, still learn, all of those things. So Derrick, he's a staple. Well, not even just a staple with the Baltimore Ravens, he's a staple in the league.
Right.
It's still a standard of what it looks like to be a great running back, even with all these years of experience. We'll hear again from Coach Eddie Faulkner on the running back room.
A reputation for being a real tackle teacher. Talk about what goes into that in terms of the backs you have there, or what you see in the backs here.
I think that's a battle that's won in the womb a lot of times, you know what I mean, with the guys. Like, they just have the skill set to do it or not. But you can drill those things to get better and sharpen your tool in that way. And so, we did it today, a lot of little one-on-one versus linebackers, just talking that, and then the emphasis that you see in game film and just pointing out those situations, because we always try to track a one-on-one percentage where we truly get a one-on-one, and we want to win 75% of those battles. So if you're winning 3 out of 4 one-on-one opportunities, a lot of times behind that's a lot of real estate. So those turn into big plays. So for us, if it's catch and run balls where we can make a guy miss and turn into a big play, that's what we're hunting. Some of the goals for the run game, we got to be efficient, you know what I mean? Obviously, that's in connection with the guys up front, tight ends, and everybody being on the same page. The expectation should be high because we have, good linemen. We got guys who've done it a lot. We got a first ballot Hall of Famer running back. We got guys behind them who can play, so we should have high expectations for ourselves and the public. So, the expectations would be for us to be one of the best, and we're working towards that daily.
And we've definitely seen rookie Adam Randall be impressive, right, in camp as well as in games. 2 preseason games in now. Rasheen Ali was just back at practice just this week. He is somebody that really, to your point, Darrell, right, shouldn't miss any practices, camp, and was out for 2 weeks, but he is back. So I think it's almost time. Let's get into, the verdict. do the Ravens have enough depth? Yes, we can. We all know that they can play. We all know that they can play, right? Um, but is there enough there, you know, in what they currently have on the roster? What is your verdict, Darrell?
I know I said at the beginning, there's still a part of me that feels like they need something else. But I still think that where they are now, they should be okay, and it's all about health. I mean, we saw how important Justice Hill can be when he's healthy, and what type of spark that he can bring. And then, and him and his familiarity with Lamar Jackson, all that stuff goes a long way, and him being familiar with the franchise is long. So you want that. You want to have that cohesiveness. Derrick Henry, who has been the consummate pro. We've seen all the workouts, everything from Derrick Henry, like over the years where, I mean, it's what, 30, 32, 33 years old now. My man looks like he's 24, 25, and he can outdo all of us with his eyes closed. So overall, yes, I think the running back room, it will be fine. There is a part of me that says they may need something else, but the biggest thing for me is, if you watched last year, Derrick Henry was top 2 back in the league, rushing wise. And the problem was, if his biggest problem last year was maybe holding on to the football, which is something that we're not used to Derrick Henry fumbling the football. So I think that's something he probably will improve on. It probably bugged him all off last season. So I think they'll be fine, Candy. My overall thing will they be fine, but there's a part of me that would like to see maybe something else.
So this is absolutely, you all, something that I know that Darrell will be watching during Baltimore Ravens joint practice with the Washington Commanders. And of course, preseason game 3. We know that's typically, the Ravens so far have not played their starters. They've played some of their younger players who are anticipated to be starters. But it's still an opportunity for players to flash. This roster has to be set on by Sunday evening, this coming Sunday evening. So Darrell will have his eyes on the offense, and particularly this group, the running backs. So let's move in then to another category here, which is the tight ends. There's a lot to like with the rookie tight ends. There's a lot to like here with the rookie tight ends for certain. Darrell, let's go ahead and get started with your opening statement. Are the tight ends, Matt Hibner, Josh Cuevas, exactly what the Ravens needed? What is your opening statement?
Well, look, the 2 young guys have impressed in 2 separate games so far during the preseason. First week, we saw Matt Hibner go out there. Doyle was just targeting this man often and early, and he made some really good plays. He had like 5 catches, and he did a really good job of, kind of showing what I think they were looking for was that, Isaiah Likely replacement. And Hibner kind of gave some of that when he was in that game in game 1. Then in game 2, Cuevas comes out there and he's making great plays. He had more catches in that game than he had in the first game combined. He made a couple of big plays down the field. And so Coach Doyle talked about them wanting them to try to get him a little bit more of a catching receiver, talking about Josh, and hopefully getting him kind of to where he needs to be. So, he's more of a blocking tight end, but I think they want to try to open his game up a little bit more. And what I've seen for both of them are 2 young guys who are willing to learn, and getting to learn from the great Mark Andrews is going to be very important for this team from this point on to continue to develop them young men, but they're going to learn from one of the best in Mark Andrews.
So speaking of Mark Andrews, as we're getting into the deliberations, of course, Mark Andrews still a very active target for Declan Doyle and Lamar Jackson's offense. Let's hear a clip from Mark Andrews when he talks a bit more about the tight end room.
From last year, the group of guys you've been with for quite some time, to now you got a couple rookies, you got someone who obviously knows the offensive system in Durham as well. How has that change been? How's the new room gelled together?
Well, these guys are great. They come to work each and every day, work hard, and we're all kind of learning. Besides Durham, he kind of knows it all. But I just think that we're able to complement each other incredibly well, push each other, all the good things that you want in the room. These guys are top of the notch guys, and it starts with Coach Grossi doing his thing. We all feed off him.
What kind of stands out about Hibner and Cuevas specifically, and having gone through just the spring with those guys?
I think they're well, they're far above, what I would think a guy coming in would be. I think they've got it together. They just continue to learn the offense. They got a lot of good attributes. They're going to help this team and make some plays.
Mark, what was the focus for you as you got ready for the season?
I think I put a lot of work in, just being here for the whole OTAs and all the whole off-season program. I got a lot of work with Coach Scott Elliott and the whole strength staff, and they did an incredible job. So I feel incredibly strong right now, and also just being able to run, come off the ball, and fly around, and find space and win my one-on-ones.
And now you mentioned Darrell, preseason game 1, you talked about Matt Hibner, and he spoke to the media. He had a glowing preseason game 1, first opportunity on the bright lights of the NFL stage. So let's check out a bit from his presser after preseason game 1 versus the Philadelphia Eagles.
Man, when you obviously you had 5 catches, were you pleased not only with catching the ball but the variety of routes that you got to run?
It was just an unbelievable experience being out there for the first time. Trying to make the most of it, make the most of every opportunity. But the coaching staff put me in a great position. And so, just making the most of every opportunity, coming down with those catches, it was a great feeling.
Matt, being a local guy, did you have family, friends in attendance today? And if so, what did that mean to you?
Yeah, it meant a lot. My parents are here, my sister's here. I know a lot of people around from where I'm from are tuned in tonight. Actually, my high school football coach came. Some of my high school staff came. So just a really, really cool feeling because, they've all helped me, get to where I am today. So to kind of see that continued support really just means everything.
What did it mean to you to just get that big catch right out of the gate? How did that kind of take me through that?
Yeah, that was awesome. You talk about getting through that first play, kind of feeling the contact and getting into the game and everything. That definitely helped me out a little bit. I kind of blacked out after the catch, Probably spent a little bit too much energy celebrating, getting hyped, but it was just great. I have no regrets on celebrating that one.
Matt, you said, I think it was this past week, that learning the new offense is like drinking from a fire hose. Now that you've gone through a new game, I know that you weren't showing the full offense, but now that you've just gone through a full game, do you feel like you're more up to speed now?
Yeah, I definitely do. I think, this week especially, just getting comfortable with the game plan, making sure, we know what looks we're going to get from the defense, staying on top of our assignments. And I think that's a testament to the coaching staff, making sure we're all on the same page, making sure we're all on top of our assignments.
Local guy had his family and friends and supporters in the building, so you probably be seeing a lot more of them. Ravens
just a little bit.
So just a little bit. They're probably gonna be in the building. They're gonna be hyped. I can tell. So let's just, and going remarks from Mark Andrews, right? In that clip that we shared, some great feedback and remarks from Mark Andrews on the rookies. Darrell, I think the verdict is in. Are the tight ends, Matt Hibner and Josh Cuevas, exactly what the Ravens needed?
100% for me. I felt like this is just another example of the Ravens drafting well. They have drafted well for years. They just know how to do it. They know how to find little gems. And like I said, they hit 100% of the time, but it's a pretty strong number. I probably say about 75 to 80. And I feel like with both of these young men, they've done a really good job of doing what they had with their last tight end group. Likely being, Hibner being that likely replacement. And then, Charlie, who used to be there and who's now with the Chargers, he was more of a blocking tight end. And now we'll get a chance to see, I think, Cuevas be that guy for the Ravens. So I think they did a really good job of getting the pieces that they used to have with newer people, I guess you could say. So very excited to see what these two can do, man. Hibner really impressed me in game 1. I was like, okay. I'm not saying Mark Andrews, watch your back, but it was good to see him out there and do what he did in that first game. Like he's going to be one tight end that can really stretch the field, and something I think Ravens fans could be excited about.
Not to get into and go down a rabbit hole, because what I'm about to say, we could talk about this all day, is how the Ravens draft. Like, I think it's just like a known fact that they are just from an evaluation perspective, it is top tier for the Baltimore Ravens, and you can just see in these two rookies, it's like, oh, I see what you did there in the
Right.
game, and we can see it in practices as well. But in the game, it really illuminated itself. Like, oh, see exactly what you did there, and that these could potentially be some cornerstone pieces for their future as well.
Yeah,
So,
and it's just well
yeah,
done. It's just well done. I mean, from Ozzy on to Eric DeCosta, they just done an amazing job when it comes to
they did.
scouting department. Everything they know how to draft.
Yep, they did really, really good on that one. So we have to move to case number 3. Now, last week, unfortunately, the Baltimore Ravens center Danny Pinter, whom they brought in to compete for the center role, has a knee injury that now Coach Jesse Minter shared with the media this week. Does appear it's something like it's season ending. So totally unfortunate. We want to send our best well wishes to Danny Pinter and hope that he's well and just get well soon. It's got to be a blow, got to be such a bummer. But then it becomes the who wins the center battle between Ethan Posick and Jovan Gwynn. This is a hot topic. The center thing has been a hot topic for the Baltimore Ravens since Tyler Linderbaum left to go to the Las Vegas Raiders in free agency. They gave him the bag, so nobody's mad about him getting that kind of paycheck. But it leaves an open spot and a void for the Baltimore Ravens. So, Darrell, what do you think here? What is your opening statement on who wins the center battle between Ethan Posick and Jovan Gwynn?
Ooh, it's tough. It's a tough one. Initially, I would have easily said, it looked like Pinter was going to be the guy. They brought in Pinter in the spring that he spent the most time there for the most part. And it looked like he was going to be the guy. So the injury was a blow, but it was definitely a big thing. You don't want to see a teammate go down, but this is definitely huge for Gwynn and for Posick. They get an opportunity to come in. Posick's a little late in the game here. So I think at the moment, I would probably say Gwynn. Gwynn got most of the snaps in game 2. He played pretty much the first half before Posick came in the third. And then they finished it up with Bullock to end the game. But he only got like a little bit of time, and that was towards like the last few minutes. So looking at that perspective, at the moment, I'm going to say it's going to be Jovan Gwynn. I think Jovan Gwynn is going to be the guy who gets this spot. I guess we still have Friday, but at the moment, that's where I'm going.
And we definitely still have the joint practice, right? So you will be watching, you'll be watching the offense. And of course, as you mentioned, Danny Pinter was having a pretty good camp.
Was.
And so it's one of those things where, you look at, to your point, I know that Declan Doyle was asked by the media about, Ethan or Jovan. And so he talked about Jovan being exceptionally athletic. He has all the tools to be a really good center. That's one thing he said about, him. And then Ethan Posick has done an excellent job as well. This is from Coach Declan Doyle. He is the guy that is new to the building, yet he comes in every morning, and he is really one of the first players there. Talked about him being exceptionally smart. He communicates at a really high level. All of those things. And, Coach Minter also said that they're going to be working him in to get some first team reps in the next week or so. Obviously, they need both of them because you need depth at center. And this is like a big year for the center position across the NFL. And so I think it kind of just, remains to be seen. But the joint practice is a big deal for this group, or these two. And we'll have to see how this turns out. Now, this clip was early on, right before the injuries, before all of that, when Lamar Jackson was asked about the offensive line. So here is a bit more from Lamar Jackson, a reminder of what he said previously about the centers and O-line.
Lamar, what's it been like developing a relationship with your new centers, Danny and Ethan?
Oh, those guys are grinding, man. good competition. Those guys grinding. You know, they're calling out the mic. You know, re-IDing the mic, calling out defense. They're doing a great job. We don't have one pass, so can't tell how they're blocking yet, but they're looking good. Mentally, those guys are sharp.
So this was before the pads came on, and we know that that energy continued. Now Danny out with an injury. Now it's on Ethan and Jovan to bring it home. As Darrell said, you know, joint practice, and then preseason game 3. There's still some time for these guys to get reps there. And then before we close out, Darrell, before share your verdict on this one, what are you going to be looking for from the center and the offensive line perspective? What'll help you kind of say, okay, maybe it is Jovan, maybe it is Ethan in joint practice?
I think biggest thing for me is going to be chemistry with Lamar. I mean, you can definitely tell when your quarterback and your center have this good chemistry together and everything's kind of working there. That's going to be one thing that I'm looking for. The comfortability, just him being able to call out things that he sees, and him and Lamar and their communication. And then the next thing for me would be, how do they look in the running game, and how they're blocking, how does that all that look, and who's going to be able to go out there and just kind of really get things going. So that part's going to be huge for me, because of the Ravens have always been such a running been a running team. So I'm intrigued to see how that will look out there, but mostly who takes command, who goes in there and really just dominates and shows, hey, I need to be the guy on the center for this team. And like I said, for me right now, I'm leaning towards Gwen. We'll see.
So it sounds like your verdict is in. Sounds like your verdict is in. You still have to see, but it sounds like your verdict is in, Darrell.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going with Javon Gwen at the moment. I mean, that's the way it feels. Like I said, definitely want to see how joint practice goes. Want to see how the game goes and see kind of where the coaches are. But just listening to how the coaches have talked about him, we saw Mentor say, and this is just a quote. He say he's done a really nice job. Looking at the tape yesterday, thought he actually played really well. He's been doing some really nice stuff, and especially against the Vikings. So those are things that he's been able to see from him. And they haven't really talked about Posick that much. So when I'm hearing Gwen, and I'm hearing it from the coaches, there's something there. But Posick is a veteran. Obviously, Joe Flacco approves, so that does give him some clout there. So that's something you can't just look past or go past. And the guy he was really good when he was in Cleveland. So it will be very interesting the way they go. But it's all about the line chemistry as well. Who when they're all together, what does it look like? And in game 2, I think we saw a really good job with Gwen being the main man at center.
Amazing. Well, guess what, Ravens flock? We made it to another episode of the Ravens verdict. Is so much that we could discuss. It's so much going on. It's so much in the next few days. Big week right here with another joint practice, preseason game 3. It's like joint practice 2 days later, preseason game 3 2 days later, needing to determine the 53-man roster. So there is a lot more in store from Bowie TV, from us, along with our partners, Fox Sports 1340, Hopewell, Virginia, 96.9 FM. You'll be hearing a lot more from us per usual. Make sure you are locked in, subscribe to all of our pages. If you're in Prince George's County, Maryland, and have not cut your cable, you can find Bowie Television on Comcast channels 190 and 1097. We're always on. Trust us on that. And we're going to wrap this up, because we're going to be certainly seeing you all again very soon.